Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our attendees on today's session. Welcome to the second RFP webinar related to the Drive DX for TB project, which will focus today on the near point of care and the point of care RFP. My name is Kavi Velen, and I'm part of the larger Drive DX for TB project team who will be running today's webinar and supporting you with clarifying questions and answers to the RFP that we've recently published. I will begin by providing a summary of the RFP. Most of this language you are already familiar with the documentation we've published online, and it will provide you with an opportunity to ask any specific questions around the language and the submission process. My colleague, Laure Martin, who joins me today, will also take you through specific aspects of the RFP process, and I encourage you all to provide any questions you might have in the Q&A box that you see for this webinar. There will also be a list of questions and answers which we have received thus far, published on our website, along with questions that we gathered during today's webinar and up until the 26th of September. So just to recap the emphasis for this RFP. So as I indicated at the beginning, this is part of a larger study called Drive DX for TB. And in this particular RFP, we are looking at accelerating the development, the validation, and the launch of new molecular diagnostics for TB. In particular, we are looking at tools that can be used at primary healthcare level and within communities focused on non-sputum samples for the point of care molecular diagnostics, and sputum samples for products that can be used at centralized facilities, incorporating drug susceptibility testing. As I indicated, this RFP is funded under the Drive DX for TB project, which is funded through Unitaid, and encompasses a $15.9 million grant, which will fund various activities that will be indirectly provided to manufacturers in developing evidence dossiers for submission to the World Health Organization's Global TB Program and the Expert Review Panel for Diagnostics at the Global Fund. No direct awards will be made to selected applicants. Applicants are expected to commit to supplying an affordable product to the public sector in low-middle-income countries if endorsed through either the ERPD or WHO policy review process. In terms of the specific characteristics of the products, for the point of care molecular diagnostic class, we are looking for a test that's able to detect TB from a tongue swab or other non-sputum samples. Ideally, this needs to be a portable platform and suitable for use in decentralized healthcare facilities. In contrast, the near point of care molecular diagnostic technology class should be able to detect TB from a sputum or a non-sputum sample, but also be able to simultaneously detect drug resistance, at least rifampicin, but ideally isoniazid or fluoroquinolones. It should be suitable for use in decentralized or centralized laboratories. We would like these tests to be simple and operated with minimal user training and provide quick turnaround results. They should be affordable for the intended setting, and platforms submitted for the RFP should be at technology readiness level 4, which essentially means we are looking for products that can be design locked by Q4 of 2023. In addition, applicants need to demonstrate a high likelihood of producing at least 2,000 RDTs by Q4 of 2023. In terms of the activities supported by this RFP, we will make provision of reference panels for preclinical testing and manufacturer-independent assessments of performance claims. There will be manufacturer-independent clinical studies in up to 4 low-middle-income settings where there's a high TB burden, and incorporating usability assessments and cost-effectiveness assessments, making up the requirements for the WHO Global TB Program. We will also conduct mapping of current and future market dynamics. These include supply and demand factors to help support the development of commercialization strategies for products for these low middle income countries. We will also provide insights to develop, together with applicants, sustainable commercialization models for low middle income settings by defining internal value propositions and supporting go-to-market planning. In collaboration with implementation partners and regional manufacturers, we will also hopefully aim to improve access for these products in the low middle income settings. We'll now hand over to my colleague Laure Martin, who will take you through the steps within the RFP process.
More about the RFP submission process and documents that you have surely become more familiar with from our website. So as you know, the RFP was released publicly on the 6th of September, and today is the webinar session where we can answer your questions. The key upcoming dates to note are the 26th of September is the last date for submitting questions regarding this RFP, and the closing date for submissions is the 4th of October. Up until the 4th of October, any questions and answers that have been received by the 26th of September will be published on our Call for Partners page, where the RFP links are located. So the review will be performed in 3 stages, and I will go in more detail on that in subsequent slides, but still to provide an overview on the timeline, stage 0 review, which is initially where we assess all the applications to determine whether they are in scope and eligible for the RFP, will be conducted throughout the month of October, as well as stage 1 review, which is the technical review, business assessment, and where we perform the initial shortlisting. In the second stage of the review, this will be conducted in the month of November. There, the review will be conducted by an external review team, and it will involve follow-up questions and live presentations by selected applicants. We will also begin the due diligence process at that time. And finally, the selection decisions will be made, and the decisions on the awards will be made in December, where we will also continue the due diligence process. And moving on, we will be working on contract negotiations throughout December to Q1 2023. So the selection process goes through the various different steps that are listed here. The key application documents to submit are the assessment matrix, which has a number of components that I'll describe in more detail now, and the application presentation. The 2 templates are available on the RFP website. So in the assessment matrix, you will see there are 4 tabs. The first one is the diagnostic classification. This is provided for reference only and does not need to be filled out by applicants. It will be completed by the reviewers. So as part of this RFP, as was mentioned before, we are selecting products in 2 different technology classes. So this initial diagnostic classification is for the reviewers to determine under which technology class each of the application will be considered. Then there are 2 technical assessment tabs, one for the point of care assays and one for the near point of care assays. For each submission, you may only be considered under one of these 2 technology classes. The next tab is the business assessment, which also needs to be completed. And then the last one is the alignment criteria. This is provided again just for reference and does not need to be completed. In the second step of the selection at the stage 2 review, we will be asking selected candidates to present we will be providing them with follow-up questions, and we will be asking them to conduct a follow-up presentation to the external review panel. And then finally, the last part of the selection process is the due diligence, which will need to be completed successfully. So this table goes in more detail on the selection process. So during stage 0, there's an initial screening of all applicants that is conducted to obtain a set of long-listed candidates. During that stage, we verify that the contents of the application are in scope, and the RFP document provides additional information to around criteria that are being used to assess whether applications are in scope. And out of scope applications will be excluded. We also verify that applicants are eligible, and this is done through a sanctions check by a review of commonly available websites. We do not at this stage require applicants to complete the declaration of undertaking that is included as Appendix 1, but it is recommended that applicants review this declaration of undertaking and confirm that they will be eligible to complete this declaration. 0, this is also where the diagnostic classification checklist completed by the reviewers to determine on which of the technology classes the application will be evaluated. During 1, we will then evaluate the long-listed candidates, and this will be performed by an internal review panel at FIND. The candidates will be evaluated on 3 areas. The first one is the technical assessment matrix, which will be scored. The second one is the business assessment matrix, which will be scored. And the third one is the applicant's presentation. And the internal review panel will then score the candidate's overall alignment with the goals of the RFP using this alignment criteria tab that is also included in the assessment matrix. From here, we will be shortlisting up to 10 candidates to move into stage 2. At that stage, we will be asking candidates to prepare a presentation, a live presentation, and we will be providing follow-up questions. And these presentations will be conducted in front of an external review panel. The external review panel will have access to the live presentations, to the submitted applicant presentation, and to the scores on the technical and business assessment completed in stage 1. And using that information, they will then score the candidate's overall alignment with the goals of the RFP. So the first part of the assessment matrix is the diagnostic classification, as mentioned earlier. It is a simple checklist, and which is used to determine eligibility to be considered under the point of care molecular diagnostic class. So if the reviewer answers yes to all of the questions, the submission can be considered under the POC technical assessment. If the reviewer answers no to any questions, the submission will be assessed under the near point of care technical assessment. So the technical assessment counts for 25% of the overall score for the RFP. So I have included a snapshot here to highlight some key areas in the spreadsheet. So the only 2 columns that will need to be completed by applicants are the ones highlighted in green. In the first one, existing specifications, you can describe how your product meets that specific specification. And in the second column, evidence, data, supporting claim, this is where you can provide evidence or data to support how your description of the existing specification. And if you wish to include additional information, this can be included in the applicant presentation. The scoring is done on a range from 0 to 3, according to the scoring guidelines that are shown in the last column. And the weight for each of the questions is fixed. And Please note that a weight of 3 indicates a critical or important specification. In those columns in green, we've also provided some gray text for certain questions, certain specifications to highlight specific information that is expected to be included as part of the supporting evidence or data. The business assessment also counts for 25% of the overall score. Here, there's only one column to be completed. The column evidence and supporting information is where the answer for all of the specification can be included. And again, additional information can be included in the applicant presentation. Something to highlight is that a key goal of this RFP is to provide affordable tests to LMICs. So please provide your expected COGS for the assay, and if applicable, your instrument. It is an award condition that you will commit to a pricing model that is transparent and affordable to LMICs. In the technology maturity and time to market section, we would like for you to include information on the stage of development and validation, so to enable the demonstration that the product will be ready for evaluation in the clinical study by Q4 of 2023. This is one of the key conditions for this RFP. The final part, the alignment criteria, counts for 50% of the score. This does not need to be completed by applicants, but we're providing some detailed information on the scoring guidelines and the considerations that will be used by external reviewers and internal reviewers when completing the assessment. And finally, the applicant presentation is a PowerPoint template with some guidance around the information that will need to be included. There's also this key information to include is also further detailed in the RFP document. This is an opportunity to provide additional context, additional data, and we would ask you to not go beyond 25 slides. So for the submission process, you may submit any questions to the email address shown on the screen. This email address is also included in the RFP documents. We will be accepting questions up until the 26th of September, and any questions and their answers are being posted on our website. For the application, just a reminder to complete and submit the application with completed assessment matrix, applicant presentation, and supporting documents via FIND's Technology Scouting submission web form. The supporting documents that are allowed to be included are listed in the RFP document. And the link to the submission web form can be found in the RFP document and on the FIND website. We will not accept applications without the completed assessment matrix and application presentation. This is all for today in terms of presentation. I will now look into the Q&A for any questions that have come through to answer them. And feel free to raise your hand to ask questions or to include additional questions in the chat as we go. So the first question received is just to make it clear, the October 4th deadline. We only have to upload the online form and not the PowerPoint nor the assessment matrix. So by the October 4th deadline, you will need to upload the assessment matrix and the application presentation. So this is incorrect. You will be required to upload those two documents. So now I will wait to see if there are more questions coming through. Don't hesitate to also raise your hand if you wish to speak. So if there's no further question, I think we will close. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to receiving your submission by the 4th of October. Thank you.